There was a time where you didn't need online updates, your controllers had wires, and your only concern was having enough memory left for one last save. We didn't know it at the time, but these games will leave a mark on us, on the industry, and on everything that came after. Today we're counting down my 10 favorite games that was released during the decade of 2000 to 2009. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. Please hit the like button and subscribe, and let me know if there's a game you think I left off the list, or what game you want to see me talk about next. Alright, let's get into it. Coming in at number 10, we have Def Jam Fight for New York. Fight for NY came out in 2004 and was released on PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. It was also later released on PSP. The sequel expanded on Vendetta's wrestling focus, infusing it with combat diversity and a brand new story. It had an expansive roster of 67 characters, including artists like Snoop, DMX, and Ludacris. The soundtrack was dope. You had the music selection changing depending upon the different arenas, and different characters had their own entrance music. Most of the music came from playable characters. The fights were actually a lot of fun. There was 5 different fighting styles that could be mixed and matched. You had wrestling, kickboxing, street fighting, submissions, and martial arts. That made for some really good matchups. Def Jam Fight for New York is a cult classic and still one of my favorite fighting games of all time. At the number 9 spot, we have a game based on the classic movie The Warriors. I loved the movie growing up and I really enjoyed the game. The Warriors was released in 2005 by Rockstar and came out on PS2, Xbox, and PSP. The game is based on an iconic film released in 1979 by the same name. To me, The Warriors is underrated and had a lot of elements that I really enjoyed. The story is split into 2 arcs. A prequel story that takes place 90 days before the meeting and covers the formation of the gang, and a main story that follows the movie. The combat was a component that definitely worked well. You had punch combos, throws, counters, grappling, weapons, and environmental damage. You could control your crew with team-based commands, or could partner up with a friend playing local co-op mode. You can interact with 1970s New York. You can mug people, steal radios, and tag buildings with graffiti. Overall, it was a great game that went beyond just copying the source material and being a typical game based on a movie.
Now everyone's gonna know we was here.
Next up at number 8, we have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. Tony Hawk 3 came out in 2001 and was released on PS2, GameCube, Xbox, Nintendo 64, PC, and later Game Boy Advance. The game took everything the 2 in the series before did right and added new mechanics, better visuals, and made the gameplay deeper and more skill-based without sacrificing fun. The level design is some of the best in the series, ranging from the Foundry to Airport, Suburbia, and the cruise ship. Each map is loaded with creativity and hidden areas that reward exploration. There's a dope roster of pro skaters available, plus some unlockable characters. One of the best things about the game was that it took the core from Pro Skater 2 and polished it. That's the best responsive controls and physics for a skate game at the time. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 has great replay value, and many people consider it the GOAT skating game. Coming in at number 7, we have the classic Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. The game was released in 2007 on PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. Modern Warfare was the first game in the series to step away from the World War II setting to present-day conflict. The single-player campaign had great depth and was really good for its time. The story unfolded through multiple perspectives. Even though the campaign wasn't very long, totaling around 6 hours, it's packed with unforgettable moments. Multiplayer is where Modern Warfare changed gaming and set the standard for online gaming. Me and my teammates had so much fun playing this together in college. You could hear us yelling down the hall in the dorm. The game looked great too. The graphics was top tier for 2007. The lighting, environment, and weapons all looked really great as well. At number 6, we have Conflict Desert Storm. This game came out in 2002 and was released on the PS2, GameCube, Xbox, and PC. This might be the least known game on this list, but it's definitely one of the few that I put the most hours in. Conflict Desert Storm is a third-person tactical shooter set during the Gulf War. The game puts you in charge of a 4-man special forces squad. You control one soldier at a time, but can give commands or switch between the 4 team members. You can issue basic commands and use strategies to approach enemies. You have the team leader, sniper, heavy weapon specialist, and combat medic. The strategic element is what set this game apart during this era. You can also play with friends. Split screen co-op mode was definitely fun. You and your homie could control different squads. This game might not have been a household name, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. Next up at number 5, we have Uncharted Drake's Fortune. I'm a huge fan of the Uncharted series, and this is the game that started it off. Drake's Fortune was released in 2007 for the PS3. I would consider Uncharted an exploration-based, puzzle-solving, third-person shooter. It's a combination of Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider. Nathan Drake is a treasure hunter searching for the legendary gold of El Dorado. The story is fairly good and is filled with mystery and danger. Sully and Atlanta are great supporting characters that continue throughout the series. The graphics were good at the time, and the environment and map looks beautiful. There's a nice balance in the pacing between figuring out puzzles, combat, and traversing the landscape and environment. Overall, this game was a great start and strong foundation to the Uncharted series. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we have Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Snake Eater was originally released in 2004 for the PS2 and was later released as an HD collection for the PS3, PS Vita, and Xbox 360. The story is set in 1964 during the Cold War, and you play as Naked Snake, later known as Big Boss. The game is a prequel to the previously released Metal Gear Solid games. Like all of the Metal Gear games, stealth is a huge component of gameplay. You can crawl through tall grass, distract guards, and use camo to blend in. The survival mechanics here were the most in-depth in the entire Metal Gear series. You had to eat and hunt in order to maintain your stamina. You had to manually treat your injuries by splinting broken bones, removing bullets, disinfecting wounds, and things like that. I definitely missed the survival elements in the later games. This game combined all of the classic elements of the Metal Gear series with great survival elements, making it one of my favorite games in the series. At the number 3 spot, we have Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. San Andreas was released in 2004 and came out on the PS2, Xbox, and PC. I played this damn game so much, bruh. The main character's name is CJ, and his main mission is to rebuild the Grove Street families and find out the truth behind his mom's death. San Andreas featured all the elements of Grand Theft Auto that we love, set in a fictional version of early 1990s California. CJ has to deal with street wars, betrayal, and a criminal organization that spanned the entire state. This was one of the first massive mainstream open world games. There was a lot of side missions that you could do in the city. This also has one of the best video game soundtracks ever. San Andreas was definitely a classic and brings back great gaming memories. Coming in at number 2 or runner up, we have Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 was originally released in 2004 and came out on the GameCube, PS2, Wii, Xbox 360, and PC. I just played the remake a couple of months ago. This is one of my favorite games and one of my favorite game series. You play as Special Agent Leon Kennedy. The president's daughter, Ashley Graham, has been kidnapped and taken to a mysterious Spanish village. Leon is tasked with bringing her back home. The story is one of my favorite parts of the game. It's interesting enough and keeps you engaged the entire time. You have all of your classic Resident Evil elements here. The pacing is a nice mixture of puzzles, great combat, and suspense. You play from the third-person shooter perspective, and the combat is tight and responsive with a wide variety of weapons at Leon's disposal. You had new enemies here that were faster, used weapons, and had better AI. A classic Resident Evil game and one of the best games in the series. And coming in as my favorite game in the early 2000s, we have Max Payne. Max Payne was released in 2001 for the PC, PS2, and Xbox. This game had great replay value growing up. It was definitely one of my favorite games, and it's still one of my all-time favorites to this day. The story is one of the best parts of the game. You play as Max Payne, a decorated NYPD detective whose life was turned upside down when his wife and baby girl were murdered by addicts high on a drug called V. Max transfers to the DEA and starts his journey of vengeance. The story is written like a graphic novel through panels and voiceovers, not cutscenes. The combat was another dope element. This was the first game that I ever played with bullet time. You can slow time during gunfights while diving in any direction. This mechanic was used in many games after this. There's a nice mix of different weapons at your disposal. Handguns can even be dual wield, one in each hand. It's a third person shooter and great action. A lot of times you'll be outgunned and outmanned. This started a 3-game series and I enjoyed them all. I even watched that whack-ass Mark Wahlberg Max Payne movie at least 5 times. And there we have it, my top 10 favorite games from the early 2000s. Whether you grew up with these or just now discovering them, these titles helped shape not just the decade, but the future of gaming as a whole. If you enjoyed the list, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and drop your favorites from the 2000s in the comments. Until next time we're out, peace.